as happens fairly often when you're doing this YouTube thing, a sponsor reached out to me and offered me a piece of equipment to play with. And since it was something that I probably wasn't going to afford on my own, I said yes. As you can see from the box, this is a Creality Falcon 2 laser engraver. The only reason I said yes to this particular laser engraver and not any one of the dozens of others that have been offered in the last little while is because I know Creality, or at least I'm familiar with Creality because I have one of their 3D printers and it's a good one. At least it's good by my standards anyway. So I figured I'd give this one a shot and just see what it has to offer. So fairly solid packing foam in there, which is good because UPS managed to abuse the box fairly seriously. But it doesn't look like it got through the foam, so that's cool. In the box we've got a quick start operating guide, even with a flow chart. There's 2 different workflows, one using the TF, the micro SD card, and one using a computer directly connected. That's cool. We have some stickers. Yay, I'll add those to my collection. And we have an illustrated quick guide. Written in, looks like 2 different languages. Yeah, just 2 different languages, but this is, what is this? 18-page manual. That's neat. So, based on other videos I've seen unboxing this thing, it's a fairly complete system. What do we got here? We have tools, the SD card, and some spare screws, and a little cleaning cloth for cleaning the laser lens. We have some sample materials, a little bit of it anyway. We have a cleaning brush. We have some legs. These are just screw-on legs that you can put on the bottom of the thing. And we have an USB-C cable. Okay. And then what do we got here? A few different pieces of wood to practice with. That's good. That's one thing that in my looking into laser engravers, you do have to spend a little bit of time getting used to the different materials. So I'm glad they put in some samples. There we have 4 more feet. So these ones are extensions if you want the unit to sit higher off the bench, or you can just use the normal feet. We have the air assist pump. Now, air assist basically blows air past the laser into the cut that's being made by literally burning away the material. So this lets the smoke and fumes get away from it, apparently prevents fire, and probably most importantly keeps the lens from getting gunked up as quickly. So that's a handy little addition. We have the actual laser module itself. Pair of safety glasses. Since this is an open frame machine, doesn't have any shrouding or protection around it, these are a good thing to have, and I'm glad they include it. And these are a large enough pair that they will go over my glasses. Not a lot of safety glasses do that. I've got several pairs from work that I've been given over the years that don't go over my glasses, so it's nice to see that too. Power cord, of course. Power brick. 24 volt, 5 amps. Wow. But I guess since you're powering an actual laser, 22 watt laser by the way, this is a diode laser, it's not a CO2 laser, but at 22 watts it's more powerful than a lot of the diode laser units that are on the market, and certainly more powerful than most of the ones I've been offered. There is the silicone hose for the air assist. Here is a little backing plate you can put underneath it so that it doesn't burn through your workbench or desktop. And then there is the unit itself. So there is where the air comes out to go into the air assist on the carriage here. I'm guessing, yeah, the laser plugs in right back there, and this goes out to the air pump. Cool. Let me just get this out of the box. All right, so there it is. in all its glory. You got a little emergency stop switch there, key switch on the front corner so that your kids don't laser themselves. And yeah, the keys are in the accessory box. That's good. There we go. So the overall unit as it comes out of the box is 22.5 inches wide, aka 57 centimeters by, what is that, 67 centimeters or 26.5 inches this way. The frame is all metal. We got some screw holes there and there and there and there for the feet. I'm just going to put them further back because this thing is actually longer than my workbench is. So I think that should be okay. I don't want it to hang off the front too badly. While we've got it up on its side, you can see that there's a limit switch at the front and back of the travel, just so that it doesn't, I guess so that it can home itself, so it knows where it is. And up at the end of the carriage, we've also got a limit switch there, and looks like we've got a belt tensioner as well. Those belts feel reasonably tensioned already from the factory, so that's cool. So the laser head just drops onto little dovetails there, and these thumb screws lock it at height. Now you can adjust the height and to focus the laser using this little high-tech aluminum block here, which has different height settings for different thicknesses of material and whether or not you're cutting it or engraving. Let's set that aside for a moment and we'll plug in the connector. I'm going to have to find a routing of that, but that just plugs in there. Click. And then the air assist hose goes on there. Easy. And they even included little Velcro straps so that you can tie the power cable, the communication cable, control cable I guess it is, and the air assist hose together to keep them in a bundle. That's nice. Yes, I didn't do that very neatly. I'll do this one better. There. Happiness. And park the air assist over there. Put the hose on, and the air assist pump just plugs in there so the machine can control it. You can control that from the software. You can also adjust the amount of air you get there, and there's information on the SD card that comes with it on the appropriate settings for various different things, more for cutting, less for engraving, but that'll help keep your lens clean and keep the smoke out of the way when you're cutting. And then the power cable plugs in over there, right above the power switch. We have a USB connector there, we have the SD card there, and we have the power switch. A lot of people that have reviewed this unit said their unit came with a honeycomb plate to go underneath there. This one didn't. I'm a little annoyed about that, but we'll live with it. I'll just put that metal backer down there. And I guess I'll throw a piece of wood underneath there. Apparently, there are files, there's a sample file on this SD card. So I'm just going to wing it. I'll plug the SD card in and see if we can make this thing go, I guess. Though first I suppose I should set the height of it. So you just put that down there. Since I'm going to be cutting and engraving, I think the demo file cuts and engraves, I'm going to set this to the highest. That may not make for the smoothest lines. That's what happens basically when you're at the wrong height. The laser is not perfectly focused, but I think that will be close enough for this first test. I hope. So completely winging it without having first read the manual, let's just use this quick start flowchart and see what happens. Place the honeycomb, optional, and processing material. Yep, adjust the focal length, done. I think there is a file on the card. I'll insert it, power on. And we're on there. No lights of any kind. Oh, there. So now we got lights over there and the air pump has started. That's all good. Machine resets, wait for the machine to reset. Press the frame to enter preview mode. Frame button. It's chirping. Maybe there isn't a file on there. Don't know. Let's try homing it. Okay, that worked. Now if we do frame. No, I guess there isn't a file on the SD card. Let me just go inside and see what's going on with that SD card. I'll be right back.
5 minutes later.
Okay, now let's try that and see if it'll work. How did I shut it off? I shut it off that way. There's 3 different ways to shut it off. The emergency stop, the main power switch, or the key switch. So now we'll home it. We'll frame it. That's going to be over there a little bit. Whoa. Okay. Now then, that is moving this around a little bit just because of my janky setup here. So I think I'm going to tape the wood down and before I proceed here. You see the little red dot there? That is the actual laser just at a really low power level, and it is fully contained within my workpiece now. So let me push the go button while it's framing, and there it goes. It appears to be doing the engraving part first. I'll just let this rock and roll and time-lapse it, I guess. And we'll see what it looks like when it's done. And we're done. Let's just shut this guy off and make him safe. And take a look at our result here. That cut worked. And there's our little mascot dude. Well, that went relatively deep. Not sure, I can't measure it, but I can definitely feel, especially in his eyes or whatever, his visor there. That's kind of neat. There's a little bit of charring on the back. And allegedly that is because we didn't have this jacked up off our back plate on a grid or anything, which is an optional accessory you can get, a honeycomb grid. And if it was lifted up a little bit off the back plane there, then the air assist would have been able to blow the smoke and soot right away, which would have kept the back cleaner. I think I may investigate some sort of a janky DIY version of that for the future. I think now the next step for me is going to be putting some software on my computer, and the software is actually on the SD card, or I'll download it. There's 2 different pieces of software, either Lightburn or Laser Gerbil, which are compatible with this thing and most laser cutters and laser engravers. So download that, spend a little bit of time learning how to use that, and put this thing through its paces. I'm going to go and buy some other bits and pieces of material. It came with 3 chunks of wood like that. So I'll get some different materials to experiment with. And basically I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks experimenting. But you guys won't have to wait for that, because that will be coming up right after this clever little edit right here. some time has passed. I've been experimenting. I've been running a bunch of test grids at various different powers and speeds, and doing different cuts and stuff on different materials, just to see what this thing will do and what how different materials react to being engraved and or cut with this laser, including a bit of brass. I discovered that brass on its own is, you can sort of see a little bit of deformation, but I can't cut through brass, so that is sort of one of the limits. But I didn't really expect it to be able to. Though when I put some spray paint onto the brass, it did definitely mark it a lot better. So that's promising. And I did a few other things too. Cut out the parts to make up this little box out of some hardboard. Found a website called MakerCase that will generate laser cutting patterns for you. You just put in the length, width, and height, material thickness in your preferred measurement system. Do you want it to be an open or closed box? You want finger joints or T-slots? And then you just download the box plans. And it downloads them into an SVG file, which you can plonk straight into the laser cutting software. That's pretty handy. I will definitely link this down below. I think I'm going to be using this quite a bit in the future for just simple little storage boxes and stuff. I like it. So I think that could be a pretty handy website, actually, just for making little storage boxes and stuff. Also tried some different engraving and stuff, and that was sort of cool. But then I got busy and spent some time, like several days, figuring out how to do KiCad to create circuit board layouts. And so I tried some of those onto both my painted brass, almost showing up. I was going a little bit too high with the power on that one. So then I dropped the power and just put some Sharpie on a piece of brass, and would you look at that? Except for ignore this part down here because it moved on me, but that looks like a serviceable etch mask, doesn't it? But I think I'm going to leave the circuit board experiments for another day, because I think there is going to be a fair bit of experimentation needed to get that right. So I think I'm going to actually use this box as a project enclosure, just to have a project to show at the end of this. I'm going to take one of the panels. I guess I'll take the drawing for this back panel, because that's the only one I've still got open. I'll jump into Inkscape and I'll make a modification to it, and then I'll take it out to the garage and burn through that, and then I'll come back in here and finish up, I guess. So here we go. It only took 3 tries to get it to cut through deep enough, so that's nice. And that should just, I hope, fit right on there. Oh, this is a little bit squished, but I think I can get it to go in there. Anyway, before I get it jammed in, the other thing that I think I want is some diffraction. And I think I'm going to use the same thing that I used up there. I think you can see it. That is the diffuser grate or grill or whatever you want to call it, a lens, I guess, off the front of a fluorescent fixture like you'd find in an office or school or whatever. And I had some left over, so I cut a chunk down for this, just so that you can't see the LEDs that are going to be behind this. Now, I originally thought that I could try and cut this with the laser, and you can see the scorch marks along the side there. Unfortunately, because it's clear, it is acrylic, and the laser will cut acrylic, but only dark colored acrylic. Because this is clear, the laser just passed right through it instead of blasting the stuff. So I, after doing about 10 passes, I just used the score line to cut it with a drywall knife, and that took only a couple minutes to cut that. So that will go behind there to diffuse the light coming through, kind of like that. Because I don't want the LEDs showing. I want it to be more of a diffuse light, right? and see what I can find in here. I don't really want RGB. I'd like probably red. I think that's traditional, right? What is that? That is RGB. That's RGB. I'll dig through here and see what I can find. I'm sure I've got some single color ones in here. I just got to dig them out. I think these ones are red LEDs. Yeah, they are. Okay, I can use these two strips. Dig through my 12-volt power supplies. What are these? What is this little guy? Amp and a half. That should do the job. I tend to hoard parts for just such an occasion when I need to build something and I don't want to wait for the parts. I think that should do. Yep, that's the right one. Cool. It's really just a matter now of adding a bit of glue and soldering a couple of things together, and I will have a completed project. Oh. Well, that's not ideal. Fortunately, replacement parts are really easy to come by. You know, a smart person would have wired this before attaching the back. I wonder if that glue's dry yet. If there's one takeaway from this whole project, it's that you don't have to be planning ahead very far in order to have a project work. At least I hope it's going to succeed. Stay tuned to find out. Yeah, that's easier. I don't even know what I was thinking. How would I have done that with the back glued on there? So something I didn't think about, these strips are longer than my box and they can't be cut. Well, I guess they could be cut in the middle, but it looks like there is 4 LEDs per section and then a resistor in between. So I suppose I could cut it there, but I think what I'm actually going to do is do it kind of like that so that the excess is just going up the sides. Ooh, that is good sticky stuff on the back. Excellent. All right, now for the 4th or 5th or however many times, I'll glue the back on again. Hopefully it won't have to come off again. So should I glue this front piece on, or should I just let it be a force friction fit? I think it's going to fit pretty well. I don't think I really need to glue it on. Let's just find out. Yeah, the tolerances are nice and tight from the laser cutting. It just fits very, very nicely. Would you look at that? I'm going to call that a successful project and a first project for my new Creality laser engraver / cutter. I suppose, just to keep the sponsor happy, I probably should go over the specs of the machine or something, shouldn't I? Once again, this is the Creality Falcon 2 22-watt laser engraver. Yeah, this is something I didn't go over. So how it does 22 watts out of a diode laser is basically it uses some optical combining to combine 4 6-watt lasers. Yeah, I know that's 24 watts, but there's some losses in the combining. So 22 watts effective coming out the snout of the thing. So as mentioned when I was assembling it, it does come with air assist, which a lot of the cheaper ones don't. That helps to keep the lens clean, to push the debris away, and also just to keep your final product looking a little bit cleaner while you're cutting. Safety features, that's something that I did gloss over a little bit. So it has 3 sensors on the laser head, an air pressure, so if the air stops, that flashes to warn you that it stopped. There is a fire sensor in there, so if it thinks that it started a fire, it will let you know and shut the machine down. And there is a lens dirty sensor, which will flash at you and tell you that you need to clean the lens. And cleaning the lens is just as simple as unscrewing the air nozzle from around it, reviewing the lens here, and then you use the little lint-free cloth that came in the toolkit with it. Very quick and easy to do. I've already done it a couple of times, just because I've been experimenting with all sorts of random things to try and cut and engrave, and inevitably you create smoke and soot and stuff and other pollutants when you do that. So
Cleaning the lens is just a regular part of maintenance. Oh, it's got a tilt switch. I didn't even know that. I guess that's useful, although it's not going to dance itself off your workbench, but if somebody bashes into it or something, that's useful. Yeah, key lock to keep the kids out, emergency stop switch just in case something bad happens. And I did touch a little bit on the local controls when I was doing that first demo print off the SD card. And the problem that I was having is you need to have the file that you're doing in the root directory of the SD card. When I initially plugged it in, it was in a subdirectory, so I just had to move it quickly to the root directory, and then it printed just by using the front panel buttons. So no computer needed, although most of the stuff that I did later on, I did with a laptop connected to it, using the software that came on the SD card. All right, full set of specs. It can cut up to 15 millimeters of wood in one pass, and I've been messing around with some thicker plywood, and yeah, as long as you're not cutting through knots, it can in fact do that. And with a couple of passes, it can cut through thicker as well. Speed, yeah, colorful engraving. That is if you're engraving on stainless steel or other metals that change color with heat. I know a lot of them will to a certain extent. Then you can vary the power that you're throwing at it to vary the amount of heat that you're generating and create a certain number of colors. I don't have any stainless steel to play with at the moment, so I haven't experimented with that yet. I measured the outside of it when I was setting it up, but the inside, the working area, is 400 by 415 millimeters, so 40 by 41.5 centimeters. It can run on pretty much any world voltage. The supported file formats is just a limitation of the software, and with the two different pieces of software, you have a lot of options to play with. And yeah, it will cut all manner of things. Also, you can use Linux if you want to use Lightburn. Lightburn is paid software. I stuck mostly to Laser Gerbil, not because I'm cheap. Well, yeah, I am cheap, but mostly because I like to stay with open source software as much as I can, and Laser Gerbil is open source. So that's why I use that for most of my experiments. But Lightburn does work too. It works very well. It's actually a slicker program. Anyway, there will be a link down below to a buy page. There will also be a link to this page just so that you can look at the specs and whatnot if you want to take a closer look for yourself. And there it is, installed just outside the door of the room that you guys visit me in most of the time. And I want to thank you for stopping by and checking this thing out. I want to thank my sponsor for sending me the Creality Falcon 2 laser cutter engraver to take a look at and show off here and use for this project and probably several other projects in the future. There will be links and stuff down below, affiliate links, of course. Yeah, any questions or comments, please leave them down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will talk to you later.